What is up, YouTube? How y'all doing? Yeah. I can't even get off this one. We're gonna be here all day and all night, man. I don't have nothing else to do. Ellen DeGeneres. Ellen. Oh my God. How can I start this thing, man? Ellen was she grew on me. When I first seen her, I didn't like her, right? I didn't like her. Why? I didn't know why. Because she was gay. And I was like, damn, that's not a reason to not like somebody. She was funny, but she won me over. Especially with the dancing. When I started seeing her show, right, and she come out and she started doing the little dance, she was dancing and stuff. I said, oh, shucks, get a white girl. Get a white girl, hey. And I'm like, you know what? Boom, I like her. I'm not a racist person. What is there not to like about her, right? So I started watching her show, and I said, it's a pretty good show, pretty good. I'm into it, down with it. All of a sudden, you start hearing things like the employees are saying, I was right in the beginning. Wait a minute. She's mean to the employees. She firing people for no reason, all this stuff, right? Then she ended up leaving the country. The shocking downfall of Ellen DeGeneres finally exposed. Y'all hit that subscribe button. Hit that bell. First time reaction, man. Come on, y'all. Give Uncle Mike a break, man. All this stuff is just entertainment. My comment section. Shout out to the comment section. What had happened was, this is a first time reaction, and people send me the videos and stuff. I think they watch them or whatever the case may be, or they decide that it's going to be a good one or whatever. And I do better because I'm doing so much other stuff. I can't sit here and watch a video. Now, in my mind, I'm like, if I'm watching the video, I might as well watch it with y'all. So this is my first time reaction, just to try to explain to some of the the haters in the comment section. Y'all hit that subscribe button, hit that bell.
We were told from the very beginning, don't
disclaimer,
talk to Ellen, don't do this, you can't go into her office. We all walked on eggshells all the time.
Totally different. Would only speak to the audience when the cameras were rolling. As soon as they turned the cameras off, she would not even acknowledge the audience.
When you start breaking down fake kindness, quiet power moves, and celebs who built whole empires off looking like the good ones, yeah, Ellen has to be part of the convo. Ellen DeGeneres became the clearest example of how a squeaky clean image can fall apart the second people stop playing along and keeping quiet. For years, Ellen sold herself as America's moral compass, the funny but safe comedian, the daytime TV boss who danced every episode, cracked easy jokes, and pushed that famous be kind message non-stop. She made people think she was untouchable, like she was above the usual Hollywood mess, drama, and chaos. No edge, no controversy, just comfy vibes, smiling faces, and feel-good energy on repeat. That polished comfort she handed to the public, that's exactly why the backlash hit so hard. Because when that flawless image started cracking, it didn't blow up overnight. It broke piece by piece, rumor by rumor, with whispers turning into receipts. Every new story peeled back another layer until that friendly front couldn't be saved anymore.
I'm just so sorry that it's come to this.
It all popped off the way most celebrity takedowns do these days. Not from a deep investigation or some leaked file, but from one messy tweet. In March 2020, someone asked a simple question online. What are the most insane stories you've heard about Ellen being mean? And just like that, the internet caught fire. No hard proof, no screenshots, no official claims, just a wide open invite, and people didn't hesitate for a second. They didn't walk in, they stormed in, fast and loud, like they'd been waiting for the moment.
You see what
Suddenly,
I'm saying?
Stories started spilling from people who worked around her, served her food, or crossed paths with her on the wrong day.
And she would laugh, because I was hoping she was going to say, Ed, you can't be yelling at the crew this way. You can't. She laughed and she said, every production needs their dog. Meaning Ed is her dog.
One server claimed Ellen wrote a letter to management over chipped nail polish, not on the food but on the server's hand, and that move almost cost the worker their job. Then a Warner Bros. Employee said they were fired after holding an elevator door and politely asking what floor she wanted. Another former staffer said Ellen snapped at them just for making eye contact. And just like that, the floodgates were wide open. More and more people started describing the same vibe. Cold, awkward, low-key, humiliating, and straight up intimidating. Being around her didn't feel warm or friendly. It felt tense, like one wrong move could flip the mood fast. On their own, any of these stories could have been brushed off as gossip or people exaggerating, but stacked together, they started forming a pattern that was way too loud to ignore. Different voices, same energy, same outcome. Yeah, celebs deal with bad service or weird moments like everyone else. That part isn't shocking. But this wasn't about one bad day or a random misunderstanding. It was the repeat behavior. Different people, different jobs, different years, all describing the same cold presence, fear, control, and zero patience for anyone who couldn't offer something back. That cheerful daytime smile everyone trusted? It started looking less like kindness and more like a carefully worn mask. Then came the real twist. Former employees from her own show started speaking out, and the story went from "she's kinda rude" to something way heavier. People described a workplace where they felt scared to speak up, punished for medical leave, or sidelined while dealing with personal loss. Some said they felt forced to stay quiet and small just to survive at work.
Yeah, I thought something was going on that because it was too orchestrated, it was too coordinated. And
BuzzFeed's major investigation didn't come from messy online chatter or random tweets.
You know, people get picked on, but for 4 months straight for me, and then for me to read in the press about a toxic work environment when
It came straight from real producers, writers, and staff who worked behind the scenes, with details to back it up. These weren't clout chasers or outsiders looking for attention. These were insiders finally saying what they'd been holding in for years. They described a work environment that felt tense and uncomfortable, a place where Ellen wasn't just distant, but feared. Staff said they were warned not to speak to her directly, mistakes led to punishment instead of guidance, and kindness only showed up once the cameras were rolling. That's when the shiny brand didn't just crack, it straight up collapsed. Be kind wasn't just a slogan, it was a promise people believed in. And once that promise stopped feeling real, everything unraveled fast.
all I've ever heard from every guest that comes on the show is what a happy atmosphere this is and what a happy place it is.
The jokes didn't hit the same, the laughter felt forced, and the dancing started looking more like an act than real joy. Fans went back and re-watched old clips, but this time they noticed things they'd brushed off before. Moments that once felt harmless suddenly looked awkward, tense, and hard to ignore. Once the pressure hit, the response only made things worse. Ellen didn't jump out with real accountability. Instead, it felt like damage control wrapped in a smile. Apologies were vague, responsibility felt blurred, and blame quietly shifted toward producers and staff behind the scenes.
How could you not know? And if you didn't know, should you have known?
I don't know how I could have known when there's 255 employees here, and there are a lot of different buildings and a lot of different...
An internal investigation was announced, executives stepped in, and suddenly the show promised change. A few top producers were let go, new rules were introduced, and the tone shifted fast.
There are different areas, and I delegate. There are bosses to each different area. It is my name on the show, so clearly it affects me, and I have to be the one to stand up and say, this can't be tolerated, we need to make changes, what can I do?
But for a lot of people,
since your name is on the show, you should be the first one to start spreading that little 2 words you were saying, happiness or be kind. I think it was be kind she was saying. But when the camera's off, you be mean. Don't be mean when the camera's off and then you turn. That's being you're a hypocrite. What is wrong with these people, man? I'll call you back. I'll call y'all back. I got to call you back on that one, man.
So clearly it affects me, and I have to be the one to stand up and say, this can't be tolerated. We need to make changes. What can I do?
But for a lot of people, it felt way too late. The damage was already done, and the trust, gone. Viewers started checking out, ratings slid, and that once unbreakable daytime throne started wobbling hard.
And, unless I literally, stayed here until the last person goes home at night and checked in with 255 people.
What used to feel fun now felt tense, like everyone was pretending nothing happened while knowing exactly what did.
But I do wish somebody would have come to me and said, hey, something's going on that you should know about. I had no idea.
By the time Ellen finally announced the show was ending, it didn't feel shocking. It felt inevitable.
Today, I have an announcement to make. Today, I am announcing that next season, season 19, is going to be my last season.
The brand that was built on kindness couldn't survive once people stopped believing the act.
So, the past 18 years, you have to know, has changed my life. You all have changed my life.
People started catching things they'd laughed off before, how Ellen snapped at audience members and brushed it off like a joke.
And I am forever grateful to all of you for watching, for laughing, for dancing, sometimes crying.
Or how guests were put on the spot and embarrassed while everyone pretended it was fun. Those moments didn't feel playful anymore, and they felt like quiet power moves. What once passed as humor now looked more like control. The wild part? None of this behavior was new. The difference was the meaning behind it. The illusion had cracked, and once that happened, nobody could unsee it. That cheerful tone didn't feel warm anymore. It felt calculated. When the backlash hit full force, Ellen responded the same way a lot of powerful figures do, carefully, vaguely, and without fully owning it. She apologized, but stopped short of taking real responsibility. She said she didn't know what was happening behind the scenes, pushed blame toward management, and promised change. For a moment, people almost bought it. The show returned, the applause came back, and the lights stayed bright. But something deep had shifted. Ratings kept sliding, fans quietly stopped tuning in, and that must-watch energy was gone. Ellen herself looked worn down, less dancing, fewer jokes, more reruns, and guest hosts stepping in. And the New York Times reported she'd lost over 1 million viewers in just 6 months, and at that point, it was clear.
How to tell them and, hope that everybody would take it okay. A lot of people were very emotional, and I got emotional.
This wasn't a short-term PR mess. It was the closing chapter of an era. This wasn't just rough headlines. This was full-on reputational damage.
So that was that first step, and then today was the first time telling, everybody else. So it was.
When Ellen finally announced her show was ending, she played it off like no big deal, saying she was just bored and ready for something new, something different. But nobody really believed that story. Not viewers, not industry insiders, and honestly, it didn't sound convincing at all. She didn't look like someone leaving on her own terms. It looked like someone being slowly eased out the door. The smiles were still there, but the energy was drained. The sparkle replaced with straight-up exhaustion. Even on camera, it felt forced. After the finale, she tried to reset. A small documentary here, a quiet project there, but none of it landed. The buzz was gone and the audience didn't come back. Then, almost overnight, she faded from the spotlight. It looked peaceful on the surface, like a calm retirement, and for a while, people assumed that was the end of the story. But then a new name started pulling old clips back into the spotlight, Diddy. When that major investigation broke, Ellen's name started popping up again, not as someone accused of wrongdoing, but as someone connected to that scene. Old jokes and moments that once felt harmless suddenly hit different, and people started looking at them with fresh, uneasy eyes. Old clips started popping back up. Ellen laughing with Diddy, joking about his famous parties, casually admitting she knew about them, brushing it all off like standard celebrity talk.
Now, what time would your party start, let's say?
Like 9:30.
Really? That early?
Yeah.
I could make that.
Yeah.
But I could think of you of starting a party at like midnight.
Back then, it felt like harmless late-night humor. Now, it felt eerie, like she'd been standing a little too close to something dark. And this time, people weren't laughing anymore. With fresh eyes, everything started feeling off. The timing, the jokes, the comfort. And once people noticed it, they couldn't unsee it. That's when things heated up even more. Joe Rogan jumped in and publicly questioned Ellen's silence, and that shifted the whole conversation fast. He didn't accuse her of anything. He just asked the kind of questions that hit deep. Why does Hollywood shield certain people? Why do some stars get ripped apart while others quietly disappear? And where is Ellen now that those old jokes are being replayed with a darker meaning? Once those questions were said out loud, there was no undoing it. That single moment lit up social media again, pulling Ellen's name right back into the spotlight. Because her whole career was built on being the moral voice, the be-kind role model who called others out and made accountability look easy. She held people responsible until the spotlight turned her way. And instead of answers, the world got silence. No statement, no acknowledgement, no distance, just nothing. And that silence, mixed with her fame, money, and sudden disappearance, started to feel less accidental and way more calculated. This was the moment Ellen's story stopped being just about a toxic workplace and shifted into something way bigger. It became a real-time example of what happens when someone who built an empire on kindness, morality, and calling others out suddenly disappears the second the world starts asking real questions. And at that point, it wasn't just about Ellen anymore. It was about Hollywood itself. about how certain stars stay protected no matter what, how polished smiles can hide quiet control, and how silence isn't neutral when you've spent decades speaking the loudest in the room. This is about the system behind the spotlight, the power plays, the selective outrage, and the uncomfortable truths nobody likes to admit are real. The part of the industry that lives behind the glamour, and believe it or not, this still wasn't the most unsettling part. Because when people started lining everything up, Ellen's exposed behavior, the sudden step away from the spotlight, the comeback attempts that went nowhere, and her past connections to people now facing serious scrutiny, the picture got harder and harder to ignore. This isn't about accusations or courtrooms, it's about energy, about patterns, about when something just feels off. And in Hollywood, that kind of discomfort is dangerous, because once people stop clapping, stop pretending, and stop playing along, the illusion is over. Once Ellen's name started getting mentioned in the same conversations as Diddy's, the entire tone shifted fast. Not because anyone proved she broke laws, but because, for the first time, people were looking at her with suspicion instead of automatic praise. In Hollywood, proximity means everything. Who you joke with, who you defend, who you stay quiet for, all of it turns into evidence in the court of public opinion. And when Ellen stayed silent, it didn't feel neutral, it felt loud. The internet clocked it instantly. After Diddy was arrested and officially charged, the digging went into overdrive, because that's what always happens. People went back through old interviews, old clips, old jokes, replaying everything with fresh eyes and zero nostalgia. Buried in that footage were moments that made fans pause. Ellen wasn't just casually friendly, she joked openly about his parties, his hotel hangouts, and his late-night fun, laughing it off like normal celebrity banter. Back then, nobody blinked. It was brushed off as harmless talk between famous friends. But now, with serious allegations of trafficking, coercion, and abuse surrounding Diddy's world, those same moments landed very differently. The laughter didn't feel light anymore, the jokes didn't feel random, and suddenly people weren't asking what Ellen did, they were asking what she knew and why she chose silence when everything changed. One clip in particular made people stop scrolling instantly. Diddy casually says, "The real parties start after midnight on the top floors."
3 o'clock. And then, we have the top 2 floors of the hotel.
And then it will carry on there.
Yeah. No, I mean the after party.
No, I know about them.
I know about them.
And Ellen laughs. Not shocked, not confused, not even curious. It wasn't an awkward laugh either. It felt familiar, like an inside joke she already understood. And that familiarity, that's what sent chills through the internet. Because in this new context, that laugh didn't come off playful. It came off like recognition. Suddenly, her silence, her smiles, even her old jokes didn't just feel uncomfortable. They felt like pieces of a much bigger puzzle. Once people connected what those parties were allegedly linked to, that old moment didn't feel harmless anymore. That laugh didn't sound funny, it sounded unsettling. That's when Joe Rogan became the first major voice to say what others seemed too nervous to touch. He didn't accuse Ellen of crimes, he didn't claim she knew specific details. He focused on one thing, the silence. Why were so many celebrities rushing to post statements, clear their names, and publicly distance themselves, while Ellen disappeared completely? Why did her name suddenly feel untouchable in Hollywood conversations? Rogan called it what he believed it was, protection. And once that word entered the conversation, people started paying even closer attention. She wasn't just another talk show host, she was a gatekeeper, a tastemaker, someone who could boost a career with one invite or freeze it out with a single cold look. That kind of power doesn't disappear quietly. So when someone with that level of influence suddenly goes completely silent during a scandal this big, the public doesn't assume innocence anymore. They assume strategy. In Hollywood, silence from powerful people doesn't sound calm, it sounds calculated. People didn't read Ellen's quiet as peace, they read it as protection. And that's exactly why her sudden move to the UK made so many people pause. On paper, she said it was about politics, wanting calm, and stepping away from the chaos in America. That sounds reasonable. But the timing, brutal. She packed up and left right as Diddy's legal problems were exploding and more celebrity names were getting tossed around online. To a lot of people, it didn't feel random. It felt convenient. Fair or not, it looked like an exit. A quiet escape wrapped in clean PR. Hollywood loves those smooth disappearances, and Ellen's life after the show has felt like a masterclass in controlled distance. No interviews, no tough questions, no awkward red carpets, just calm countryside shots, animals, cozy captions, and a whole lot of silence. It almost feels like a rebrand through absence. Step back far enough, stay quiet long enough, and let time do the cleanup. But here's the problem. The internet never forgets. The second more Diddy-related details started surfacing, people began connecting dots that had been sitting in plain sight for years. Ellen's history of control, the stories of her being cold behind the scenes, the infamous Ellen stare that reportedly made staff freeze. Suddenly, it all felt linked. Her power was never just fame, it was presence, the ability to dominate a room without raising her voice, the way silence itself became a tool. And now that same silence is haunting her image. Because the calmer her new life looks, the louder the unanswered questions get. People can't stop wondering what's really being kept behind that peaceful, carefully curated calm. When people started lining up Ellen's past behavior next to stories about other powerful figures who ruled through fear, loyalty, and silence, the comparison felt unsettling. Not the same, not identical, but close enough to make people uncomfortable. And in Hollywood, discomfort spreads fast. That's the thing about rumors in that world. They don't always need proof. They grow in spaces where trust is already broken. And by the time Ellen's image cracked, that trust had been gone for a while. Once people believe you're capable of cruelty, it doesn't take much for them to wonder what else you might be capable of. And Ellen didn't step in to stop that narrative from spreading. Instead of confronting the whispers head-on, she went quiet. And that silence spoke louder than any denial ever could. Even her Netflix stand-up special didn't land the way she may have hoped. To many viewers, it felt like damage control, a polished attempt to reshape the story instead of fully addressing it. She brushed off the backlash as being caused by one tweet, one misunderstanding that spiraled out of control. But audiences didn't buy it. She didn't seriously address the workplace claims. She didn't directly acknowledge staff who said they lost their jobs, their peace, or their sense of safety at work. Instead, she joked about being misunderstood, about being tough, and about how people just can't handle honesty, and that only widened the gap. Some fans actually thought that bold attitude was refreshing. They saw it as honesty, confidence, even growth. But for a lot of other people, it felt like straight-up gaslighting. Like she was smirking through the backlash, rewriting the past, and trying to laugh her way out of accountability. And this time, the audience wasn't laughing back. Because self-awareness is not the same thing as accountability. And viewers made that loud and clear. About half the audience seemed ready to move on, saying Ellen had learned her lesson. But the other half, they saw that Netflix special as a carefully scripted defense, more like a lawyer's closing argument than a real moment of reflection. It felt polished, rehearsed, way too safe. Instead of fully owning her past, it looked like she was managing her image all over again. That's what made Ellen's fall hit differently from a typical Hollywood cancellation. She didn't collapse over one explosive scandal. She wore down over time. Years of quiet behavior, small stories, uncomfortable moments, and subtle power moves stacked up until the weight became impossible to ignore. Her reputation didn't blow up, and it hollowed out piece by piece. And just when things seemed to calm down, Joe Rogan ripped the scab right back off. He didn't just bring up Ellen, he zoomed out and pointed at the whole system. A Hollywood network where powerful people protect each other, stay silent for each other, and hold the line until the cracks finally show. That's when Ellen stopped being just another celebrity dealing with bad press. She turned into a symbol of what happens when a powerful system starts turning on itself from the inside. Hollywood is a place where friendly brands can hide uncomfortable truths, where silence becomes currency, and staying quiet can be more valuable than telling the truth. And once people start calling that system out loud, everyone connected to it starts feeling the pressure. Ellen built her entire empire on being the moral voice, the one who called others out, the one who joked, roasted guests, and always controlled the mic. But now that same mic is pointed straight at her, and there's nothing coming back. That's exactly why the public refuses to let this fade. Because even if Ellen never committed a crime, her behavior reflects the same quiet arrogance that allowed far worse figures to operate unchecked for years. That belief that rules don't apply, that kindness can be sold as a brand while cruelty stays hidden behind closed doors. Power can shield you for a while, but history shows that protection always cracks eventually. Now, Ellen's legacy isn't hers to rewrite anymore. It's being rebuilt by former co-workers, resurfaced interviews, investigative podcasts, and an internet that never forgets. And unlike TV ratings, public memory can't be polished, edited, or danced away. The real fear around Ellen right now isn't about lawyers or courtrooms. It's about irrelevance mixed with suspicion. People don't bring her up for dancing jokes or daytime laughs anymore. Her name comes up when darker topics surface, when bigger scandals break, when silence itself becomes part of the story. That's the new narrative forming around her. One where the quiet she once controlled now speaks louder than anything she ever said on a mic. Silence used to feel calm. Now. When real questions are being asked, that same silence feels loaded. And that's where the tension sits. The uncomfortable question isn't, did she commit crimes? Or should she face charges? It's something deeper. Something that exposes how power actually moves behind the scenes in entertainment. The real question people keep circling back to is this: why does Ellen keep landing on her feet while others don't? Because once you zoom out, the pattern is hard to miss. She didn't get loudly cancelled and dragged through the mud. She exited clean. She wrapped things up neatly, cashed out, sold properties, moved across the ocean, and disappeared before real accountability could lock in. Meanwhile, the people who worked under her, the ones who spoke up, lost jobs, or took the heat, were left behind carrying the weight of it all. And that contrast, that's what people can't stop thinking about. That's not coincidence, that's leverage. Hollywood doesn't protect people because they're kind or innocent. It protects them because they're useful, deeply connected, or risky to cross. And Ellen spent decades positioning herself as all three. She wasn't just another daytime TV face, she was a brand-safe powerhouse. The perfect middle ground between celebrities, advertisers, studios, and billion-dollar sponsors. She knew the right agents, the right producers, the right executives, and more importantly, she knew how to keep things quiet. She understood the unspoken rule of Hollywood better than most. Power doesn't come from what you say, it comes from what you don't say. From what stays off camera, off record, and out of headlines.
Facts.
That's exactly why Joe Rogan's comments landed so hard. He didn't throw out wild accusations, he didn't claim secret knowledge. He asked the one question nobody else wanted to touch. Why do some people in Hollywood get dragged instantly while others are handled with velvet gloves? And the moment that question hit the air, the illusion cracked, because deep down everyone already knew the answer. So why does the media still tiptoe around Ellen, even after she's been publicly seen and socially linked to people now facing serious allegations? The answer isn't complicated. It's fear. It's self-preservation. Hollywood knows exactly how to shield its own, especially the ones who used to hold real power. Ellen didn't just lose viewers, she lost control of the narrative. And for someone who built an empire by owning every room she walked into, that kind of loss had to sting deep. You could see it in her final seasons. The awkward laughs, the tired smiles, the recycled clips and forced jokes on repeat. That wasn't simple burnout, that was frustration. She couldn't understand why the crowd that once worshipped her suddenly went cold. In her mind, she'd earned lifetime protection. Years of being branded as America's nice one were supposed to act like a shield forever. But that shield cracked. Then came the Netflix special, meant to be a big comeback, but it landed more like a quiet plea dressed up as confidence. The sarcasm was sharp, but underneath it was a clear ask for forgiveness, without ever admitting fault. She framed herself as misunderstood, not responsible, as the target, not the cause. A few loyal fans bought it, sure, but for most people, it confirmed the same feeling they already had. Ellen still didn't get it. She wasn't trying to heal the damage, she was trying to rewrite the ending. And now, with the Diddy connection resurfacing over and over again, that might be what ends up defining Ellen's legacy. Not the dancing, not the laughs, but the silence that followed once people finally started paying closer attention. This isn't about Ellen being proven guilty of anything, it's about optics. In Hollywood, image is everything. Timing matters. Silence matters even more. When someone chooses not to speak at the exact moment when a few words could calm things down, clear the air, or simply create distance from chaos, people don't assume innocence, they assume strategy. And that hits harder because Ellen built her entire career on doing the opposite. She made her name by putting guests on the spot, teasing out personal stories, pushing for confessions, and laughing it off like it was all harmless fun. That was her power, shining the spotlight on everyone else while keeping herself protected. But now that the spotlight has flipped back on her, she suddenly wants privacy, and the public doesn't vibe with hypocrisy, especially when it's this obvious. Because when you spend decades calling others out but go silent when it's your turn, that silence doesn't feel neutral. It feels loud. And for a lot of people watching, that's the part they can't ignore anymore. What makes all of this feel even darker is how carefully the entire industry still tiptoes around Ellen. Major outlets barely touch the overlap between Ellen and Diddy, like that topic is locked behind invisible doors. Interviews slide right past it, reporters avoid it, and the few who even hint at it seem to go strangely quiet right after. That kind of silence doesn't calm suspicion, it feeds it. Because when a story is just messy rumor, it usually gets shut down fast and loud. But when a story might be dangerous, when it could brush up against people with real power, it doesn't get denied. It gets ignored, quietly. And that quiet, it makes people talk even louder. The internet notices the difference instantly. Unlike traditional media, it doesn't wait for green lights or permission to connect dots. It watches behavior, it tracks patterns, it pays attention to who speaks up and who disappears the moment things get uncomfortable. So when Ellen stays hidden, people don't read it as peace or healing. They read it as strategy, a calculated move to protect the brand, protect connections, and avoid questions that don't have easy answers. And in today's world, silence like that doesn't erase suspicion. It multiplies it. That's exactly why Ellen's legacy feels unfinished. There's no redemption arc, no emotional apology, no real moment of reckoning, just distance. And distance doesn't rebuild trust. It freezes you in time, locking your image into the exact moment the public turned away. Meanwhile, the world has moved on fast. Daytime TV isn't what it used to be anymore. It's been replaced by influencer culture, unfiltered voices, and creators who don't need corporate approval to be heard. Audiences aren't chasing polish now, they want real. They want honesty, vulnerability, and flaws that aren't hidden behind perfect lighting and scripted charm. And Ellen represents the opposite of that shift. She's become a symbol of old Hollywood, an era where power smiled, stayed silent, and never had to explain itself. But that era is fading, fast. That's probably why her story won't die down, because she's no longer just Ellen DeGeneres, the talk show host. She's turned into a reminder of a system people are finally done accepting. A system where kindness was a brand, control stayed behind closed doors, and accountability was optional if you were high enough on the ladder. So even if Ellen never steps into a courtroom, and even if she never says a word about Diddy, her reputation has already been rewritten. Not by one scandal, but by time, silence, and a culture that finally stopped clapping. In the end, Ellen's story isn't just about one celebrity losing her shine. It's about a culture finally learning to look past the smile. Her image collapsing marked a real shift in entertainment, where charm no longer shields the truth and silence doesn't feel safe anymore. In today's world, transparency is currency, and Ellen spent too long guarding her image instead of opening up. What makes this whole thing feel haunting is how slowly it unraveled. There was no single explosion, no final betrayal, no dramatic mic drop moment. Just years of whispers getting louder, stories stacking up, and silence growing heavier. And when the illusion finally cracked, the fall wasn't loud. It was quiet, controlled, and cold. The kind of downfall that looks clean on the outside, but feels empty underneath. Now, Ellen lives far from the spotlight, posting photos of flowers, pets, and peaceful sunsets, selling calm the same way she once sold kindness. It looks serene, it looks intentional. But the internet doesn't forget, and the culture she helped shape has already moved on. Audiences don't want to be told to be kind anymore. They want to see it, lived out without cameras, without applause, without branding. They want real behavior, not polished messaging. And maybe that's the real ending to Ellen's story. Not a villain's punishment, not a hero's redemption. Just a quiet fade into the background of an industry that no longer needs her. Because when your legacy is built on control, losing the narrative isn't just painful, it's the ultimate loss. Ellen isn't the first to fall like this, and she definitely won't be the last. But she stands as one of the clearest warnings of what happens when image replaces integrity, and when silence becomes the loudest thing you ever say. The smiles fade, the lights dim, and what's left is the same question that keeps haunting Hollywood. How many more stories like this are still waiting to come out? Even now, long after the cameras stopped rolling and the applause faded, Ellen's story still echoes through the industry like a warning shot. And it's not just about her anymore, it's about the entire system she came to represent. That shiny, smiling world of talk shows, red carpets, and feel-good branding suddenly looks less innocent and way more calculated. People are finally seeing how easy it was to sell kindness as a brand while hiding chaos behind the curtain. How charm could distract, how silence could protect, and how power could stay untouched for years. What's left of Ellen's legacy now lives online, not in highlight reels or award montages, but in paused clips, replayed interviews, and moments people study frame by frame, searching for what they missed the first time. Every awkward laugh, every raised eyebrow, every joke that didn't age well. All of it turned into a digital archive of irony. And that's the part Hollywood still hasn't fully accepted. Once the public stops believing the act, no PR spin can bring it back. Audiences don't wait for magazines to tell them what's real anymore. They see it, they share it, they decide. Ellen's silence may have protected her for a while, but in the end, it only made the unanswered questions louder than ever. Now, Ellen feels like a ghost from an old era, still famous, but untouchable in the worst possible way. Say her name, and it doesn't spark nostalgia anymore. It sparks debate. Because Ellen DeGeneres isn't just remembered for laughter or dancing, she's remembered as the moment audiences finally turned the mirror around and said, "We see you now." And that's the real legacy she leaves behind. Not the interviews, not the daytime laughs, but the lesson that no amount of kindness branding can hide the truth forever. So here we are, the end of Ellen's chapter, at least for now. The cameras are off, the stage is empty, and the Be Kind empire has quietly faded into a mix of nostalgia and side-eye. The applause is gone, but the questions are still hanging in the air. Did Ellen simply retire in peace? Or did Hollywood help her slip away before things got too close for comfort? Because silence that heavy doesn't come out of nowhere. It usually comes with strings attached. And until those questions are answered, Ellen's story won't fully end. It'll just keep echoing, quietly, in the background. Ellen might be out of sight right now, but she's definitely not forgotten. Every time a news scandal shakes the industry, her name drifts back into the conversation. A reminder that entertainment loves to protect its own until the price gets too high. For now, she's living that quiet countryside life, posting peaceful photos that scream calm and distance. But something about it still feels unsettled. Like the story didn't end, it just went quiet. The truth is, nobody really knows if Ellen's chapter is finished or just paused. Maybe she's waiting for the internet to move on. Or maybe another wave is already building behind the scenes. Hollywood has a habit of recycling its ghosts. And sometimes they come back louder, messier, and way harder to ignore. So what do you think? Do you think Hollywood is still protecting her? Or is this just the calm before another storm? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Seriously, I check them. And if you liked this breakdown, hit like, share it, and subscribe for more deep dives into YouTuber drama, influencer controversies, and the stories nobody else wants to touch. Because trust this story doesn't feel finished at all. And knowing how the internet moves, the next update, it could get real messy, real fast.
I was hoping that he was going to say something about he said something about the employees, but I don't understand how somebody can not know that they are being mean to other people, employees, friends, enemies, whatever you want to call them, family members. You know when you're doing wrong. You know when you're saying words out of your mouth to hurt other people. And I can see if it's only one person coming forward saying, well, they did all. It's so many people saying Ellen did this, that, and the third. And that's not good, man. That is not good right there. So then you leave the country? She left the country. I'm leaving the country, man, before all this stuff fall. I'm going to take my little bit of money or my whole lot of money, and then I'm rolling out. See y'all. Don't want to be y'all. I'm going to get on up out of here, man. Y'all take it light, take it slow. Tell them Uncle Mike told you so. Peace out.